Hi, I'm Brad Lunde from TransAudio Group, and I'm here at Northwest Career and Technical Academy today to talk to Geoff Daking. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I am doing fine. I had a nice little drive-in from Los Angeles this morning.
There we go. Jeff, one of the things I'm most curious about for you to tell everybody is how did you get started in the audio business? What was your start? How did you begin?
I started off in the 60s in a rock and roll band, and we made several albums. And in the process of that, I learned quite a bit about recording. And so in 1970, I actually went into the studio business and made a lot of records and film scores and commercials and things like that. And I worked as an active engineer from 1970 until about 1996. So that's my background. And my background really, from this standpoint, is recording. But in the late 80s, early 90s, people were beginning to make home studios. And there really wasn't a lot of equipment available. And so because I had a studio, they would come to me and say, well, what should I put in my studio? So we started looking around and there wasn't very much. So what I did was we kind of all got together and said, well, what's the best sounding gear ever made? And we agreed that the best console ever made was a Trident A-Range. So I contacted Phil Wagner at Trident. Said, why don't you make these A-Range modules again? And he said, we have no interest in doing that. We just want to make these computerized things. He said, why don't you do it? So he sold me the schematic for $50, and a year later I was building these things, and that was in 1994. This will be our 20th year.
Wow.
This year at AES.
Wow, it's amazing. And so you started with what piece of gear was your very first one?
The first one was this one. It's a Mic Pre EQ. It's a full 75 dB Mic Pre amplifier. It has phase reverse, pad, line, all the usual things. And it also has a 4-band EQ. And the 4-band EQ has fixed frequencies. The top and bottom are shelving, regular box and doll shelving, 12 dB per octave EQs. And the two in the middle are peaking, and they're inductor-based EQs.
So that's like what people talk about with the inductor vintage EQs. It has that. Does this have a ton of color in it? Is this a dark sounding unit like some of the other vintage things that people like? Tell me about the sound of it.
It's very musical. The EQ points are very musical, and the curves themselves are very musical. This is what you call, it's continuously variable Q, where if you're boosting just a little bit, the curve is very gentle, and as you boost more and more, it becomes much steeper. And these will boost plus and minus 17 dB, and so they get very steep.
So the Mic Pre in here, does it also take line inputs? Is it a mic and line device?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a mic and line.
It's a mic and line device, and also it's kind of unique in that besides having a gain switch, it also has an output level control. So and a mute and a bypass. So you can actually use it like a channel strip in it's a single channel console, so to speak. You can actually run the fader and chase levels, and if you need to cut it, you can mute it.
So this was your very first product, and why did you start with Mic Pres? Why was that your first decision?
Well, that was what people needed in their studios. They needed a Mic Pre and an equalizer. A lot of these guys that we're helping out were solo songwriters who were writing music for film and commercials, and they would do this all at home, and so they really only had one Mic Pre and one EQ. And that was the start of it.
And so you were at the very beginning of that in the early 90s, and then what came after the Mic Pre EQ? What did you do next?
Second product was in 1995. It was this single channel compressor, and it's a very functional compressor. It has all the basic things that you need: threshold, ratio, attack and release, and makeup gain. And it also can be linked in, any number of them can be linked in stereo. You can link them in 5-1 if you want by chaining their control voltages. It's an excellent compressor. It has very interesting time constants. You can recreate almost any compressor that you like. It has very simple attack to very complex attack and very, very complex release times. It'll do 3 basic ones, a Neve 33609, the A&D Compex, and 3 of the Fairchild releases.
And so you sort of saw the Mic Pre and the compressor as the 2 most essential studio tools, and that's what launched That's how Daking Pro Audio got going?
Right. First with the Mic Pre
And
EQ.
where were you at this time? When did all this
I was
happen?
living in New York, and we were building this stuff in Connecticut.
Got it. All right. And so now you live between two places, in Florida and California, is that right?
That's correct.
And everything's made in California now.
Everything's made in Huntington Beach, California.
Okay. And tell me about some of the other products here and why those became important. Why did you do like this one at the top?
Well, the one at the top is a 4-channel version of this same microphone preamp. All of the preamps that we make, there's one of them missing here, but all of them use the exact same preamp circuit and the same Jensen input transformer. They might have a little different output or a different filter or some other feature, but they're all exactly the same preamp. So this is 4 of the preamps in one box, and this also gives you a direct input on the front. And the direct input on this is really excellent. It also gives you a 20-segment VU meter and a peak indication.
So it's easy to see where you're at from a distance.
Exactly. And we sell tons of these to drummers, these drummers like Dave Weckl and J.R. Robinson, who do the recording over the internet, do these drum overdubs. It seems to be very popular with drummers.
Right. So you have, and then do you have any, and then tell me about this down here. What's going on down here? The 500 series.
This is, the next product after the FET, single FET, was a stereo FET. And then derived from all of this are these 500 modules. In the 500 rack, the first thing we have is the Mic Pre. And this Mic Pre follows the one that's missing, the Mic Pre 1, in that it has a high-pass filter in it, which is very useful for people, especially home recording where...
And that's right here, that's this controller here?
It's from 0 to 200 hertz. And that's really good for taking out low frequency rubbish, because when you record in digital, you have the ability to record all the way down to 10 hertz. And you're probably listening on small speakers. And so you can fill your recordings with low-end rubbish that you have absolutely, which actually takes up a lot of space and energy and processing power in your DAW. So I recommend that anybody who's, especially at home, record by turning the high-pass filter up until you feel it, and then back off a little bit and do that. It also has a DI, it has all the other features, the pad, the 20 dB pad, the phantom power, phase reverse, and it also has, this one has a very good floating point meter, has a true VU ballistic in the digital meter, and also with floating point peak indication. It's much better meter than you find in almost any other 500 module.
Got it.
Next one is the compressor. This compressor is a very unique compressor because it's a VCA compressor, but it's used like a FET. It's not used like other VCA compressors. It's designed to be very easy to use in that if you were inexperienced or lazy like me, you could just put these at 12 o'clock and set it at auto and probably just forget about it. You'd never have to do anything. It would just sit there, and it can take a tremendous amount of level in, and it can limit quite transparently almost up to 60 dB. However, if you do want it to do other things, you can speed up the release time, speed up the attack time, and change the ratio from 4:1 to about 16:1. So it'll do brick wall limiting. It's a very flexible limiter. Then we have the EQ again. It's the same, exactly the same EQ as the one in the Mic Pre EQ.
There's one here.
As that one. You can take these 2 units and put them side by side in an Audio Precision. You can't tell which curve is which. High and low shelving, mid-peaking with inductors, and bypass. The only difference in this one and the rack one is this doesn't have the high and low pass filters. But when you put it in this rack, you get the low pass filter from the Mic Pre.
Right.
If you're using the whole system.
Right.
And we make this system as a unified system with a cable in the back that loops 135246. So you just go in and out stereo.
So you can buy this whole system right here, the recording system in the API lunchbox, complete.
Exactly. It comes fully assembled with a cable in the back. You only have to go in 2 in and 2 out. So that's a totally portable system. This is what Pete Townsend uses to move between his various locations for recording. It's just a little box and a computer, and Bob's your uncle.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming today, and thanks for watching the Daking video.
Thanks for coming. That's it.